Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary, coming to you with part 3 of our annual project, the Sunflower Delight Jacket. Yay! Get excited guys, I'm excited. This is a really interesting part. There's a lot of people who say yes or no, but this is what we're going to do today. Two things. One of them is going to be a tip, which will happen within the middle of the tutorial somewhere. And the other one will be blocking. Do you block or don't you? That's the question. Yes? All right. Now, I've done something similar like this before. I think I did something similar using wool, acrylic and cotton, that kind of thing. But what I want to do today is block 3 different ways. Washing and blocking with a little bit of warm water and vinegar. Popping your square on the mat and spray wetting it. And steam blocking. All right, I've got 6 squares today. 3 in a row will be those 3 that I just told you. The other 3 will sit right next to them without being blocked. Just sit on the mat, not do anything, just sit there. Then we'll come back again. For us, it'll be 2 seconds, but for me, it'll be an overnight thing, okay? We'll go back to the workstation and we'll check out what the difference is between the 3 blockings and how different they are from the non-blocked squares. So that's pretty much this tutorial. Don't forget to look out for the tip in the tutorial as well, which is not about blocking. It's about something totally different, but check out for that tip. Get excited, guys. I'm excited. Let's head over to the workstation right now and get on with part 3 of our Sunflower Delight Jacket. Alrighty guys, now we have a couple of things we're going to do today. First thing we're going to talk about is our squares and washing and blocking, okay, or steam or spray. We'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing we're going to talk about is a little tip that I use when I'm making squares. Alright, so I'm going to show you the tip first before we get on with this. Now the tip is what I like to call the glove box tip. And a glove box tip is this. All right. Now, if you don't drive, it doesn't matter. But at least when you go out somewhere, if you want to take something with you and you know you're going to have some time on your own and you want to do some crocheting, grab a small bag like this or a small pouch like this. I use both of them. The pouch fits in there. It's not so much now because I've done a whole lot of little squares and we'll talk about that in a minute. So not really the squares, just the first piece. Now, this yarn here is really big. All right, not so much because we've used a lot of it, but it's really big. Now we have, how many rounds do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, all right? Could you imagine taking this out and taking all 4 colors out with you? Probably you could, maybe you could, but if you just want to pop it in your handbag, and you don't want to have these massive skeins of yarn in your handbag, this is what I usually do. Now this one's the glove box ones, right? And you can see that I usually do this when I go places, right? And this skein's come undone a little bit, right? But what I do is I wind a small amount of skeins like that. And I pop them in the bag and I leave them in the car, in the glove box of the car. And occasionally when I've got time, and you can see how many I've done, I do the first round. And I've actually completed all my squares in the green. I've got some there, I've got some here, and I've got a big pile over there. You can't see them, but there's a big pile over there. So I've actually completed, by doing it this way, all my greens. But as you can see, my green last stitch has not been completed because I'm going to use that cute join that we used in part 2 of our series, all right? The tip that we used in part 2, right? So all of this was done in the car, or when I went to certain venues and people left me alone and I was on my own, which happens often, but we won't talk about that. And I thought, why not do a few squares while I'm waiting at the doctor's surgery, at the dentist. And when I got to that, I was going to go straight on to the next colour, but I didn't. I still haven't had time to get onto that next colour, okay? So the tip is to make small skeins of yarn and roughly make them to suit one row and make, say this one here took just under a gram. So I made about 30 grams or 40 grams. In actual fact, I think I made the 67 or 70 grams, I think it was, and it's come down that much. All right, so I might have made more because I'm finished my greens and there is still a little bit left, yeah? All right, so it's kind of, that's the first part of the tip. The second part of today's tip, oh, by the way, in this little bag, I keep a spare, and it's usually a pair of scissors that are not crush hot. They've been overused. I keep them in the car. I do keep 2 needles in one of these little needle packs. If you haven't got a needle pack, you can just use something small. It doesn't matter what you use. I keep a spare 4mm hook in the car. Actually, I keep a spare 4.5 and 5 in the glove box of the car, just open, right? Because I know those are the 3 main hooks that I use. And of course I put a couple of stitch markers in there to get me out of trouble. Now I do that often and it all stays in the car. All right, so that's that. The other thing I wanted to let you know, now let's just bring it up a little, I'll move all this out of the way completely, is all these little tiny green circles that you see right here. These were the base, and some of them aren't attached yet. Oh, I'm not even close enough. Hello. Some of them aren't attached yet because I'm going to use the tip from part 2 of our jacket. Okay, so if you haven't seen part 2, check out part 2. It'll show you the tip on how to join this, right? So the other thing I do is I create all of round 1 first. Now the reason I do this, there's numerous reasons why. Sometimes I get bored and stop, but usually I create all of them. And the first reason is if you are creating, put it this way, if you're making your jacket for someone else or for a commission project and you are trying to speed things up, it is quicker to make all of the first round using the same colour over and over and over again until you run out of the colour, or I should say until you get to the amount of circles that you need for your jacket. Now I've completed all of the circles with this and the past squares that I've done. There's many that I've done. Some blocked and some haven't been blocked, but I've already completed all of my squares, but only the green part of all of my squares. I think I've completed about, 12 of the orange side, 12 of the gold, and maybe 10 of this tan colour, right? But the idea is to complete the one colour. It's quicker. You don't have to worry about looking for the other colour. You just continue the one colour, get it done, weave in that end of the last colour you did, and then move on to your next colour. Make sure you are checking your amount of stitches in your round. Make sure you've got your 16 stitches or your 16 sets, cluster sets on each round. Or again, you have your final colour. Now, I don't do the final colour in the car, all right? And the reason I don't do it in the car is because I make sure that everything is correct before I start the final colour. Because once I start that final colour, I will weave in all my ends. And once you weave in those ends, especially the way we do, with the splitting of the yarn, it's going to be too hard to come out. So all of these need to be correct. Sometimes when you are in a public place and you're working away, you can make an error, especially if you are talking to a friend or so on, all right? But that's the second tip. Make sure you do all your colour, the one colour, all at once, right? Now you don't have to, that's just a little tip that I use. Sometimes I would get a little bored, which is why you see some colours already done. And I would move that out the way and thinking, I'm so bored of that, and I start doing the second colour. But most of the times when I'm creating that's not on the channel, I will make all of the one colour first. And then once that one colour is used, I move it out the way and I grab the very next colour. All right, that's just a little tip. You don't have to follow that tip. These are little tips that I give you just in case you guys are actually interested in following those tips. But this little bag stays in the glove box of my car, and I'm always accessible to the car, yeah? So if I'm ready, or good and ready to start joining my pieces, I know where to look. All right, now again, that's not necessary. This can also go in my bag where I have my purse, my phone, whatever else is in there. It goes in there and it fits nicely without it being really bulky. Yeah, and that's when I put these guys in as well. So it doesn't look, it might look a little bit full, but not completely bulky if you had to put those big 4 skeins of yarn in your purse. There's no way they would fit, yeah? All right, so those are the 2 little tips there. The other big tip today is the important one of washing and blocking. Now, there are a lot of people that say, I've been around for a long time and I've never washed and blocked. That is fine. You don't have to wash and block, but I'm going to wash and block these 3 or these 3, whichever, today, and leave the other 3. And at the end of this tutorial, I'm going to show you the difference. Now you can see they're all, you know, and I can straighten them all up so you can make it look straight, right? And you can see that they're all tipped and bent. And what happens is when you are crocheting or sewing your pieces together, it's not, your stitches aren't completely straight like this, because you know your tension might be tight during the morning, and then you put it down and you go and have lunch and you think, oh, I better finish off that round, and your tension will be loose in the afternoon, whatever. So it's not completely perfect, right? But what I'm going to do now is show you the 3 different blockings. One is washing, one is steam blocking, and one is spray blocking, where you just spray the square. Now, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, but I do know that a lot of acrylic, and I've done one of these tutorials on the channel before, and I'll pop the link to that tutorial in the description box down below, where I did a tutorial on washing or steam blocking acrylic. Now, acrylic is better to steam block it and not wash. It comes out a lot better when it's steam blocked. And again, this is not a necessary thing. This is choice. If you want to wash, steam or spray block, then come along with me right now, and we're going to head over to the mats and do that now. All right, guys, we have 1, 2, 3 squares. I've placed 3 stitch markers here that once they are dry, we're going to pop those stitch markers in our squares. These are the squares we're going to block today. These are the squares we're going to just let sit there for no reason, just so that we can marry them up at the end. All right, so let's start by doing the very first square, and we're going to use the spray blocking. I just got a little cheap bottle, nothing fancy. We're going to start by first pinning this square down to the table. So let's start pinning. And the idea is to just pin anywhere you want, yeah, in any corner first. Give it a good stretch. Do the 4 corners. You can straighten them up in a minute. Let's just do them first. Pin it down. See, as it is, I know I have to straighten up. Yeah. And you put pins in the middle as well as on the corners. And if you find it's not straight, you can straighten it up as you go along. All right, because we're going to be spraying our piece after we attach the pins. Looks good to me. Now, I'm going to move everything for a moment, just for a moment. And we're going to spray our piece right there. Now you can leave it just lightly sprayed, or you can really saturate that piece. Now I'm going to really saturate it. It will take a while to dry. You might need overnight. Now the water inside here is a tepid warm. In fact, it's starting to cool down because I've taken a while to get ready. And there you go. All right. So that, I think, it's up to you. If you want to keep putting more on, you can. It's getting very wet. So I'm going to leave it like that. Place a stitch marker there, place that square there, and these 2 will be like a mirror image of each other. One will be blocked once it's finished and one won't. Now, we're going to focus on the steam blocking. So that noise you can hear in the background is my steamer. I've just had to turn it on. So what we're going to do first with the steam blocking, again, the same as the spray blocking, we're going to just pin it down. So you can see it's steaming. Being very careful if you are using acrylic not to pop this too close to your piece, or you could end up burning your piece. All right. So just keep doing it until you feel like it's enough. I don't know if you can see the steam from the camera. And I think that's plenty. What did I do it for? Probably about 2 minutes. All right, so that's block number 1, number 2, and now we're going to do block number 3. Block number 3 just needs a little tiny bit of water in here, so grab some water, and I'm going to use this because I'm not going to be wasteful. Just pop in some water, warm tepid water. I might need some more, and then grab a little bit of white vinegar. Just some white vinegar, nothing fancy. And pop a few drops in there. Not much. I don't know if that water's enough. Oh, it should be enough because we're only doing 1 square. So stir it up. Again, it's just warm tepid water, nothing fancy again. Pop that in there. Give it a good squish up. Okay, probably best to have more water than less, but I'm just going to do it for this part. It's covered it anyway. And leave it there for 1 hour. I really don't have the time to leave it for 1 hour, so what I'm going to do is just squeeze it, and I guarantee it'll still work. Squeeze it, place it in a towel. Just give it a squeeze. Now this is just a tea towel from my kitchen. Don't look at it. All right, so it's just an old tea towel that I had in my kitchen that I no longer use. Now, we'll move all this out the way. You don't need that anymore. We will pin this guy down. Like so. Pop your stitch marker in there like so. And now we wait. Alrighty guys, here we are the very day later. That was our spray blocking, that was our steam blocking, and that was our soak and wash blocking. Alright, so let's pop in the pink stitch marker for the spray blocking. Let's take out, oh, just lost a pin over there. You didn't see that. Taking out all the pins, and we're going to pop a stitch marker just in anywhere to show that that was our spray blocking. We're going to pop that on top of there. Yeah, this is our steam blocking, so we're going to take that off. Oops, one more. And we're going to pop the blue stitch marker for the the steam blocking. Yep, and pop that on top of that. And this was our soak blocking, I should say, soak blocking. Popping your stitch marker in there like that, and pop that one on top of there. We're going to go back to the workstation and compare. Alrighty guys, and here we are. This is the non-blocked square, And this is the washed blocked square, yeah? This is the non-blocked square, and this is the steam blocked square. This is the non-blocked square. Oh, we're not even all the way out. And this is the spray blocked square. All right, so having a look at them, where's all the tails? Let's bring all the tails out so they're out the way and you don't see any. That's better. Now you can see this so much better. All right, so have a look at the squares. Have a really good look. Flat, gorgeously flat, not flat, yeah? Straight, gorgeously straight, not straight, not straight. And the other thing I did notice, I didn't think I would, but your knots are a little bit more extreme when they're not washed than to when they are washed. Now, which is the best out of the three? Obviously, they look better than the ones that weren't blocked. Yeah, I'll leave that there so you can have another look at them in a minute. But which is the best out of the three? Now, between you and I really only ever use the washed, soaking, blocked kind. That's just me. Because I know for a fact that acrylic, this is wool, but acrylic takes the steam blocking better than wash blocking. We've done this as a tutorial here as well. I'll pop a link to that tutorial in a description box down below, and you'll see some other blocking as well. In fact, I'll pop the whole blocking list and you can go through and check out different types of blocking, yeah? Or different blocking with different materials like with acrylic or cotton, right? The spray blocking, if you look carefully at it, it's not as straight or as flat. Okay, again, it's my opinion. To be fair, even though I like the washing and the blocking one, the steam blocking has left everything perfectly straight. All right, don't forget, each square was exactly the same, but the wash blocking has left everything quite defined. Let's have a look at the steam blocking. Look at that. I know they don't look different, but I can see the difference close up. There we go. See, that's not as defined, whereas that is. The spray blocking, yeah, it's not too bad, the spray blocking. Out of the steam and the spray blocking, I would suggest the steam. Out of all three, in my opinion, I go for the soaking for 1 hour with a tiny little bit of vinegar. By the way, the vinegar itself, I found out from Roz from Passion Flower, that's this particular vest we've made right here. When I went to visit her farm, she said that she puts a little bit of vinegar in the water to stop dyes from running from the reds to the greens to the yellows to the whites to whatever, yeah? So I started using vinegar in my water whenever I wash and block. I never use detergents when I'm going to wash and block. I never use detergents on the first wash before giving away my blankets or things like that. I only ever use water and vinegar. Not too much vinegar or your whole project smells like vinegar. So just use a little tiny bit of vinegar. It stops the dye from running, and I'm going to tell you, it's beautifully soft. The yarn is naturally soft anyway, but this is a bit coarse, and this is just very coarse. But this one here, it's gorgeously soft. So I will be sticking with the soaking, washing, blocking. Again, that's me. But now let's try doing this. All right. Put them together. You ready to see something else? Let's straighten them all up. Have a look at that. Look how high that is. Yeah. Look how crooked that looks to how straight that looks. It's always too far away. Hello. See how crooked it looks? They all look crooked and bent. This is curved. This isn't. These are all straight. Check them out. Perfect. All right, so there you have it. There you have it, guys. Blocked, not blocked. Which ones do you prefer? I know which ones I prefer. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm working on our blocking of our squares, and also that little tip in between there was kind of like 2 extra tips really, if you think about it. And don't forget to join us in about a week's time for part 4 of the jacket. It's very exciting, part 4. Part 4 is going to be our very first join. Oh, by the way, there will be 3 different joins that you can use for the jacket. This is way too exciting. But the first join that I show you will be the one that I'm going to use for my jacket. So it's entirely up to you whether you want to use that one, whether you want to wait for the next part and do that one, and whether you want to wait for the next part and use that one. The list is endless, yeah? I can do so many different joins for you, but I'm only going to do 3 different joins for this particular jacket, and then you can decide which one you would like to do. Get excited for part 4, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, guys, to watch us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country. And also don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Share the love, guys, because we have a lot of fun, especially on our lives. Some of us have way too much fun. It's not me. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. My name is Mary and this is Wow Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.